Peace and blessings and harmony to all the people across the universe. My name is King Wojak, and I'm just testing out my studio for a podcast, a show talking about hip hop, talking about society, talking about life, talking about energy, talking about jewelry. Make sure I get my gems out. And talking about God. The God in you, the God in me, the God in everything that's around us, the birds and the bees, the sun, the moon, the stars, the God in the universe. So it's just freestyle, folks. I'm creating it as I go. Whatever you guys want me to talk about, I'll be happy to talk about. I'll be happy to address any subject that you guys would like to address. Some of the subjects that I will be talking about through my podcast is racism, reparations, the injustice of jail, prison, the prison population, the people who work for the system. Sometimes I'll be talking about my jewels. Sometimes I'll be talking about my music, my hip hop. I'm not much of a talker though, meaning I don't like to sit around and hear myself talk. So when I mess up, I kind of freeze a little bit and I get my thoughts together and so I could say some intelligent things because I am an intelligent person. But sometimes the spirit of ignorance is inside of me and I want to talk that shit. I want to talk, that recklessness. And I have to be aware of what I say and what I do and for the people that do listen that want to subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my page and just listen to me talk. People don't want to hear a bunch of BS all the time. They don't want to hear a bunch of uneducated theories. So me, I'm just a hip hop artist who's had the opportunity to have a lot of stories that I was part of, meaning my journey and the places I've been, the people I've met, the crazy things that I've got myself into, and the crazy things that I've gotten myself out of. So one of the stories I want to talk about today is my trip with the Canadian border. Back in the day, late 1995, 6, 7, 8 to 2005, I was back and forth across the Canadian border with ease. There were days that we had drove all the way out to the Canadian border from Tacoma. It was a 3-hour trip, 2.5-hour trip, you would say, if you had to stop and clean your car out and get your mind and your vehicle ready to cross the border because they would ask you various questions and they would also pull you over and go through your car and search it. So me, after being introduced to Canada from Sir Mix-a-Lot, he did a show. We just came back from a tour and I was in a group called Criminal Nation and we just got off a small 4-city tour through Medford, Oregon, Eugene, Salem, and Portland. We did a show with Too Short. We did a show with Young MC, and we did 2 shows with Sir Mix-a-Lot. And I was, in my early days of just being a hip hop artist for Criminal Nation. So Canada opened up a lot of doors, and me and my partners was brand new to it. So we was like, man, let's go to Canada. And we'd hop in our cars, despite we had girlfriends and lives and wives and houses and bills. We'd hop in our car and travel all the way to Canada, Vancouver, for the weekend to have some fun. And Canada was hella open. It was beautiful women from all different makes and models and just nationalities and just and they loved Americans and they knew that we had a different type of energy to us about about us from being from America. So they would naturally just be attracted to us. And every month we were always in Canada at least two weekends. And I just kept going and going and going to Canada and just, having more and more success. People were loving me. I had keys to the nicest studios. It was the studio, my guy Murray, who owned a studio right off the strip where all the prostitutes would prostitute every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. For sure. It was popping Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but for sure on the weekends, it was the strip. It was called Seymour Street. And that's where all the prostitutes would stand and get picked up and whisked off and drop back off. And they would collect money. And it was some of the most beautiful prostitutes that I had seen, like women. Just, these women look like models and they look like they should be on TV and videos. And so there was just every weekend. And I was luckily enough to have the keys to this studio because my guy Murray loved me and wanted me to produce more music in his studio. While he went home to North Vancouver, I had the keys to the studio downtown. I would open up the front door, walk out, and it was prostitutes everywhere. It was people everywhere. Just, it was Friday night, Saturday night action, activity, just. And I got to know some of the prostitutes. I got to know them pretty well, because they used to come and ask if Murray was there because Murray knew them very well as well. And I'll be like, nah, Murray ain't here, but I'm here. And they'd be like, can we come in and use the bathroom? Murray used to let us use the bathroom and smoke, you know what I mean? So sure, come on in. They'd come in and smoke big weed and get to know me and listen to the music and get the vibe into some of my shit. So that was some of the memories I had of just traveling to Canada. But a few times, unfortunately, I was turned away from Canada and sent back home. And so there was a second border and a third border. And if we got turned away from the first border, we would automatically whisk ourselves over to the second border and try again. And sometimes we'd get in, sometimes we'd get caught and turned away. And they caught us a few times too many. So they told us that if we got caught coming over the border again illegally, that we would be arrested. So one night, me and my friend K Love decided to say, forget it. We'll let my partner drive over and we'll walk over because we knew we were not allowed to cross the border. And so we ended up getting caught. My friend K Love, who had no trouble with the border, he got let go. But me, oh, they were going to lock me up. And I was locked up. I was picked up and taken into Canada for trying to cross the border. And because I had some charge on my record from 1993 of having guns in my car, they were trying to equivalate that with me having guns in Canada. So they kept me in jail for a couple of days over the weekend, and I was released Monday morning. The jails were weird. It was people wearing their normal clothes, dress clothes. They smoked weed in there. It was just a weird type of jail, and a lot of these guys were locked up for 5 to 6 to 8 years. So it wasn't just jail; it was kind of like prison jail for the Canadians. And so I was locked up with these guys, and I got released. I went to court on Monday. They told me not to come back to Canada. I got released. When I got in to the border at the United States border, they just told me not to come back to Canada and let me go. I walked over to the Denny's, made a phone call, and was picked up an hour later by my homegirls, Alice and Sheila. They came and picked me up at the Denny's, right there at Blaine. And I just had gotten released from jail, and I was in the back of their car headed towards the second Canadian border again. And I didn't say nothing. I sat in the back seat, and these girls just said, yeah, we're from Canada, blah, blah, blah. They answered all the questions, and there I was back in Canada no less than an hour and a half after I got out of jail. Wild story. I was sweating. I was scared. I was just tripping, but I made it, got into Canada. Well, again, I went home. Again, I came back and I got caught again. And this time when I got caught, and don't mind the folks in the background, they're watching the Seahawks game. I just chose not to watch it. I wanted to come and talk about these stories that I had been through. So I went to the border again and I got snatched up on a nice sunny day. And I was like, wow, this was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. My partner was going, we was going to have a good time. And I had fake ID and they caught me and locked me up. And so I was in the holding cell, just pacing back and forth, trying to figure out what the hell to do. They came in with three other guards. They asked me some more questions, sat me down, uh, told me that I was going back to jail and I was not going to be getting out this time. And I was scared for my life and praying to the Lord, like, please, Lord, let me get out of this situation because I really am sorry. And so after a little bit of meditation and 10, 15 minutes go by, these people are filing paperwork and giving each other high fives because now at this point, Mark Womack is somebody they want to catch. They want to snatch up. And so they got me. And I was just looking out the window and just praying and just thinking, like, how am I going to get out this situation? And something said, try the door. A spirit, a voice in my head said, try the front door. So I went to the door and the door was unlocked. Now, Canadian border, they ain't hip. They don't know about, you know, American crime and criminals from America and young black males. And so they left the door open. And I took advantage of that and I opened the door, poked my head out. There was nobody around. And I walked out the side door. The door, it was two doors down, and there was an open door and the street going back towards America. Well, I walked out that door, and walked back towards America. Soon as I got to the grass, it's 100-yard stretch at the border. I got to the grass and I took off running. Running fast as I can, running fast as I can. And I ran all the way to the middle of the border, the arches. It's 100 yards to get back to the American border. I must have made it 42 yards. I was out of breath. I couldn't breathe. I was hot. I was sweating. I was just, oh my God, just about to faint. But I thought the police was coming and they would have some dogs or they was going to rush out with the SWAT team and catch me and find me gone and arrest me again. I gathered up enough strength and I ran some more. And when I got to the American border, I was sweating like a slave. The police came out, 6 guards arrested me, took me inside, ran my information, asked me why I ran from the border, got a call from the border. They were pissed, but they couldn't turn me in, so they let me go. And that was number one when I ran from the border. Number two, I got arrested on a Friday night. And this time I was in bigger trouble than I was last time. They brought the goon guards out, the big guards. They made sure they had everything on me and they locked the doors. And I was in deep trouble because I escaped from them last time. So, what was I thinking going back to the border this time? Insanity. I arrived there about 8 o'clock. I was in custody by 9, sweating in the same room that I escaped from a year before, sweating like a slave in a business suit at that. Had biz dress shoes on, dressed because I thought that my parents would get me through the border and they wouldn't even trip. Well, they did. And I was arrested. And this time I had to figure out how to get out of this situation. I sat at the table. The door was locked. I prayed. I looked at my watch. It looked just like one of these watches. It had a little square end to it. I went over to the window and I searched the windows and I seen one window was fully locked, but you could open the window up and get some fresh air. But the screen was there and the screen could raise up, but it would only go to a certain spot. because of these locks that were there. Window number two, same thing. Window number three, this lock was gone. And this window only had a lock on it, and it was rickety. So I took my watch and I stuck it inside it, and I started to screw it, and my watch fit perfectly like some MacGyver shit. It fit right into the lock. It was a square lock. It fit right into the screw, and it turned it really nice. And I turned it, and then finally got that thing loose, and I busted it off. And then I went and sat back down after making so much noise, and I was like, oh shit. Okay. This is it. I went to the window and looked out to make sure they were still filing papers and doing what they were doing, and they were doing it. I went back to the window. I lifted it all the way up. All the way up. It was open, and I was on floor number one. I stuck my foot out, got out the window, stuck my other foot out. The window came down on my foot. I got stuck for a minute. I started hopping back and forth. Then I finally lifted the window up, and somebody could have came by and caught me right there, but they didn't. Thank you, because of my spiritual blessings and my prayers. And I got my foot out, and I took off running to that field, the same field that I ran a year before. I took off. Because I was smoking weed, I knew I wasn't going to make this run. So by 32 yards in, I'm out of gas, breathing, stressing, damn near stumbling, in a dress suit, in dress shoes. Didn't know if they was going to come and get me. I didn't know how long I had until I got to the American border. But I broke, and I broke again, and I gathered up some more strength, and I ran into the American border, stumbled, breathing hard. Couldn't breathe. All of a sudden, the same, and I shit you not, the same guards that got me before, that were working that shift before, they came out and got me again. And they said, it's him again. Oh, you ain't learned, huh? They start cracking jokes, making jokes. Oh, you ain't learned, huh? You still playing with that border, huh? They locked me up. I'm laying over here on the bench, sweaty. Can't breathe, damn near just about to have a panic attack, and just out of breath because I was out of shape. I was released and had two homegirls come pick me up from Bellingham. And I went and stayed the night there at my homegirl's house, and I had the balls to call into the Canadian border and act like I was a lawyer for Mark Womack. And they was like, sir, you are in deep trouble. If you ever come back to the Canadian border again, we are going to lock you up. And I said, oh, shit. Click. Hung up the phone. And I have never been back. Well, I can't lie. I have been back twice, and I haven't been caught. And there's another time that I was just in some deep trouble where I thought they was going to catch me, but they didn't. I had my ID right here in my pocket, and they didn't even see it. And I overlooked it and bypassed it and thought they had some weed in my car, but didn't find it. And I had a blunt right up here hidden, and I got back into the car, which was a brand new Volkswagen Touareg, and grabbed the blunt out of there. Was back in Canada doing it big again. That is my story, and that's the truth, fam. I've been doing a lot of things in hip hop, but my Canadian stories is real. And shout out to all my Canadian peoples out there. Blessings. I wish I can come back and visit you. Salute. Shout out to Andrea, all my homegirls, man. I appreciate you guys. Karma, blessings. And I'll talk to you guys soon again. That's my real story, real life shit that happened in Mark Womack's life. King Wojak, a.k.a. Criminal Nation. Let's go. Salute. Thank you for listening to my show. Peace and blessings. Amen.